Hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have an epic Zerg versus Terran, so let's go ahead and jump in and introduce the players who are already spamming the chat. And yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Spawning down here in the bottom right hand corner of Antiga Shipyard, we have the red Zerg player representing Team Liquid. It is the little one, also known as TLO, and he is a very innovative player, been playing since the beta, and actually during the beta used to play random, switched to Terran, and now actually ends up playing Zerg mainly. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing what kind of innovative strategies he's going to have coming out in this game. But his opponent is a very strong Terran player, spawning up in the top right hand corner of Antiga Shipyard as the blue Terran. He is an ex-Warcraft 3 and Dawn of War player. He's a very strong Korean Terran that actually resides in the United States. He's a quasi-Korean, quasi-American, but he's also been known to have popularized, I believe, yes, the Sup-Sun. But yes, he's going to be spawning up here in the top right-hand corner, and we're going to have to see how well he can do against his opponent, TLO, in this, I believe, just a ladder game. Now we can even see that these two are definitely buddy with each other. They're definitely talking it up, just kind of chilling. I guess this is probably a ladder game, so they're kind of catching up a little bit as they open up their initial builds. And we do end up seeing TLO looking to go for a pretty normal looking opening, as well as Select not doing any proxy 2-racks kind of business. Actually might be going for a CC first. There it actually goes down, the CC first. And yeah, this game's going to be looking to open up pretty normal, and we do end up seeing that kind of little chitter chatter. Kind of going like, oh yeah, it's so hard to 1A, 2A, blah blah, Terran so easy. And of course TLO calling it Select a noob. That's always a great way to start off the game. Call your opponent a noob because you press the A button with your pinky. Actually, that's kind of interesting. How many? I believe I press my A button with the pinky. I'm not too sure though. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say one of those things. It's one of those things where it's like you don't actually realize how you're doing something until you go ahead and force yourself to just muscle memory through it, and then you're like, oh yeah, I do it like this. Oh, I hate those things. But in the meanwhile, we do end up seeing, it looks like the spawning pool is already pretty much about to finish, and we actually end up seeing no gas geysers taken just quite yet. So that does mean gas is going to be slightly delayed. Now that is going to give them a little bit more of an economic benefit. Wait, oh no, did TLO, TLO scouted, selects gas, kind of surprised and saying, hey man, why are you getting gas right now? Are you about to pressure me? Of course, Select going for that CC first. And TLO even saying, he's a little bit delighted, as I mentioned before, TLO a very innovative player, so I'm sure he even loves watching some innovative play from his opponents, and of course, generally when you end up seeing the Terran go for that very fast command center, you don't want to get the gas too early, just because, well, going and committing to that very early CC, it's very difficult to find the minerals to continuously produce workers. You can even see Select having to cut some of those workers just to get up, for example, this factory over here, and he also is likely going to want to get out a reactor. I believe he's going to be a reactor Hellion opening coming out, and there we do end up seeing that reactor, and of course the factory. So yes, Reactor Hellions coming out of Select. Kind of interesting rearrangement and opening from Select. We're going to have to wait and see how exactly TLO responds, as he definitely knows what is up. He even mentioned it in the chat, made sure that Select knew that he knew what was up. And in the meanwhile, we end up seeing 2 queens over here, and 2 queens additionally about to pop out for TLO. So that is going to be that 4 queens. We're going to have to wait and see if he's going to go up to 5 or 6, as that actually has become a little bit more popular. And again, actually, it became popular, and now it's starting to fall out of style. People are starting to stick with just 4 queens. Looks like we're going to have, yeah, 6 queens. So what is that is really useful for, especially on a map like this, where there's so many different ways that your general area will open out into. If you look down on the mini-map, you can really, oh my god, you can really get a phone call. Of course, that is the StarCraft 1 Terran theme song, if you heard that. But anyways, that'll really allow you to spread out that creep in an insane rate, and oh my god, it's so freaking fast. And we're going to have to wait and see how exactly Select is plan to respond to this, as you generally want to get out these Hellions to get a little bit of map control. Deny something like creep spread is going to be very difficult, especially with how many queens are going to be out over here. They're going to be able to easily protect those creep tumors, and Select's going to be a little bit upset about that, as that's definitely one thing that's really nice for Terran, or sorry, for Zerg on this map. Although the downside to this map is that it is very difficult to grab a 4th expansion on this map for Zerg. Oh man, it's like, okay, once you take your 3rd expansion, where do you take it? Do you take it over here at the gold? Of course, in a lot of tournament settings, these are not gold expansions. So this is another key off that it is in fact a ladder map. But I mean, there's no real good safe place to take it, as you're either very vulnerable to drops because it is very far away, or it's straight down the center and you're very vulnerable to just a siege up in the center. We actually do end up seeing Starport coming out right next to that factory, so might be seeing this go ahead and swap with the factory after these 2 Hellions finish up, and then we might be seeing some just reactor medevacs coming out, so that's definitely going to help Select to build up that medevac count. He definitely wants to get up those medevacs so that he can start to deal with any kind of big aggression that can come out of TLO, and it'll allow him to do a good old drop play to get a little bit more map control. And we do end up seeing, oh my god, this is so many queens. Actually, this is 8 queens and 9, no, sorry, one of them is an automaton. 8 queens, and that's actually going to be so freaking good for map control against these Hellions. But I'm really curious to see what TLO is planning to do with all these queens out in the middle of the map. We actually even see additional queen being brought over. Does he have any queens back at home? Oh my god, he's bringing all of his queens, and this is going to be a huge all-in coming out from TLO. I'm really curious to see. And Select, noticing what's going on, he's just like, what are you up to right now, man? What are you doing? And we actually don't see any tanks out right now. Just 1 medevac. Oh my god, one of the medevacs get actually sniped off. We do end up seeing a supply depot wall. That's going to be a little bit helpful to start delaying some of these roaches. But now we see what the queens are being used for. They're being used for that transfuse on the roaches. And that is going to be so difficult to deal with, especially since the only thing that Select has to deal with these roaches and queens are these Hellions and Marines, and the Marines are just not doing enough damage fast enough. They're starting to take out some of these roaches with some great transfuse micro coming out from TLO. Now the SCVs are being forced to be pulled, and that's really going to be difficult for Select to try and come back from, as he's losing all of these SCVs. Oh my god. But you have to remember, all the Hellions are also dead, so it's going to be very difficult if any kind of Zergling reinforcements are coming out. But no, it looks like just roaches starting to come out once again, and these queens are going to very, very slowly make their way into the natural expansion. We do end up seeing, yes, there is going to be 1 bunker, but that's likely going to go. Oh my god, the repair is probably going to actually save it, even though, you know, Select does not have transfuse for himself. He's going to be able to transfuse, quote unquote, this bunker, and he says, my heal is better than yours. And that's going to actually force TLO to retreat just a little bit. We do end up seeing a couple of reinforcing roaches coming out, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. It's going to be so close. You have to remember, though, Select is spending minerals whenever he tries to use his form of heal on those bunkers, and that's really, really setting him behind. Let's go ahead and take a look at the work count. We see 35 drones to 23 SCVs. Now, one thing you do have to remember is, with all of these queens over here, that does mean that he missed out on quite a few transfuses. You can even see there's no queen associated with that natural expansion hatcher. And oh no, he's going to end up losing all of these queens over here, as all of these Marines stim up, and as well as the Hellion actually be able to get some great shots off and kill off all of those queens. And now it looks like, oh no, TLO, he could lose so many overlords over here. This could be such a huge, ginormous blunder. This could actually cost him the game, even though he's not going to get supply block for a little while. Losing this many overlords could be a huge deal, as he's going to have to remake those. And now we end up seeing finally the roaches coming in and picking up, forcing the pickup on those Marines that are sniping off those overlords. And now these overlords trying to retreat back home under the guardian watch of these roaches. But oh my god, it looks like this game is going to settle down just a little bit. Finally, one little roach over here just deciding that he's going to go ahead and just join the Terran Marine Force. He has had enough of fighting in Antiga Shipyard. He has seen the horrors of war, and even though he didn't actually kill any of his opponent's forces, he's actually, oh my god, and no! It looks like he's turned the tides. He's decided to change his mind. He's going to try and rejoin the Zerg army as a spy, and it doesn't look like the Terran forces realize it right now. He is definitely playing a lot of Team Fortress 2. He is the spy in Team Fortress 2. This medevac, oh my god, this medevac is actually out healing the roaches' DPS on any of the SCVs. None of them go down, and the roach finally does get picked off. But in the meanwhile, let's go ahead and take a look at what is actually going down inside these 2 players' bases. We do end up seeing a big upgrades coming out, and 2 evolution chambers, so that's going to be useful, again, those +1/+1 missile attacks. So would likely be seeing additional roaches pumped out, as we do end up seeing just more roaches being pumped out. You know, I'm really curious to see when exactly TLO is going to go ahead and take that 3rd expansion. We can actually already see Select looking to do a bit of a drop action play. I'm not sure how well that's going to work out, as when your opponent's only on 2 bases, and has this ginormous creep spread everywhere across the map, including in his main to his natural. It's going to be very difficult to actually pull your opponent apart with these draw plays. Now, we do end up seeing a pretty substantial force of Marines and Marauders kind of moving out and just trying to clear up some of that creep spread. And that's actually going to, oh my god, this could actually be a great play from Select. He uses this small little band of force units to go ahead and move around the map, clearing out creep, and then when he pulls his opponent's army out of the position, he's going to go ahead and drop in the natural or the main with this little task force. But we do end up seeing, oh my god, actually these roaches coming in, and they're going to be taking some big tank fire. There's only one tank out right now, though, and we can actually see the Overlord comes in, is able to give the high ground vision to pick up the tank, and now with all these Marauders being cleaned up, the Supply Depot, while not complete, is going to force quite a bit of a reaction out of Select. Where are his units? Oh my god, all of his units are either over here or actually dropping over in the main, but it looks like he's going to be forced on the retreat. He does not want to allow all these roaches in, and oh no, the Supply Depot wall off in the main is not actually lifted. Now we actually see Overlords even dropping some of that creep. That's going to be very useful for that micro that TLO can do with the retreat micro, and now we end up seeing the units from Select finally coming back in with those medevacs, dropping back into his own main, but he has to be very careful. He could end up losing this factory. That actually be a huge loss, and oh my god, even before the tank pops out, the tank would be so useful for dealing with this huge roach camp. But now we end up seeing the roaches starting to get cleaned up a little bit, but I don't know if Select has enough over here. We end up seeing a couple of mules drop, but oh no, it looks like the roaches are just too large in number, and now even though they cannot pick off anything in those medevacs, it's going to be very, very difficult for us. Oh my god, there is actually the GG from Select. So Select realizing it's to be so difficult for him to actually come back in this game, and that's actually going to spell the end of it. So very well played by both these players, but it looks like TLO with that very unorthodox pure roach style, never really transitioning out to that third base, and never really getting a huge number of Zerglings or any of that stuff, and we actually end up seeing this drop over here, trying to do a good bit of damage, but it just was not enough, as we can already see one SCV left. But yeah, TLO with a very unorthodox style was able to take this game, so very well played by both of these players. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoy my commentary in any capacity whatsoever. And if you do, go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment below, especially if you do not like something about my commentary. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But that's pretty much going to be it. Send your replays that you want casted to feardragon64@gmail.com. I have a Twitch TV account, twitch.tv/feardragon64, where I cast an event called Balance Battles, and soon to be Collegiate Star League as well. That's going to be starting back up in a bit. And twitter.com/feardragon64. You can follow me there. I announce whenever I release a video. And that's pretty much going to be it. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next